Maybe it was the rumors of a troubled production, Brie Larson's attitude.
How long will you play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
And my general lack of enthusiasm towards the MCU recently that made me not very excited for this movie. But I have to say, I'm genuinely surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. Definitely not without its flaws, though. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of The Marvels. But before we get started, please, at the end of the video, if I've earned it, leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my new reviews. Now let's get into it. The Marvels picks up pretty much around the post-credit scene of Ms. Marvel, with Brie Larson's Carol Danvers, Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan, and Teyonah Parris's Monica Rambeau all swapping places whenever they use their light-based powers. They're not totally sure why this is happening, only that the Kree warlord, Dar-Ben, played by Zawe Ashton, has something to do with it after she finds the other identical bangle to the one that Ms. Marvel found in her own show. That, unlocked her mutant powers since she's not an Inhuman anymore, since the MCU is never going to touch the Inhumans again. Oh, and Dar-Ben is also tearing holes in the galaxy, destroying planets to take their resources and reinvigorate the Kree homeworld, which has been devastated by civil war. So, with a little help from Sam Jackson's Nick Fury, Kamala's family, and our favorite Flurkin Goose, this new team, dubbed the Marvels, will set out on a cosmic journey to put a stop to all of this and fix their problem. Now, I've made it no secret that outside of a handful of projects, I've really not been happy with the MCU post-Endgame.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
And though I feel like I was one of the only people that really enjoyed Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel was one of my least favorite movies in the Infinity Saga, and I never really had any strong feelings either way towards Monica Rambeau, so I had pretty much zero enthusiasm for this film going into it.
No thanks.
But once we get through the typical cliche villain introduction and jump back into the colorful, cartoonish world of Ms. Marvel, complete with Iman Vellani's incredibly charming and fun performance,
Hi.
it wasn't long before I had a smile on my face. And that even kept up when meeting with Carol and Monica again. Even though none of them come close to the electric charisma that Ms. Marvel has, I really cannot overstate how great her performance is. But besides that, I'm not really sure if this is owed to director Nia DaCosta or the writing, but compared to both Captain Marvel and Endgame, it is night and day with how much Brie Larson's performance has changed here. Just with the sheer fact that she shows emotion and character this time.
Carol Danvers, prodigal child of the Milky Way.
Nick Fury, my favorite one-eyed man of intrigue.
And Teyonah Parris, though I still don't really think that that character has brought a lot to the MCU and could use a bit more writing and depth.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Wait a minute!
If you won't let us go, just let us die.
She still does a fine job in this role, and working with Nick Fury at the Saber base gives us a fun little space hub to come back to every now and then in the movie. This is all fine, but the real fun in this movie starts when these three characters start swapping places. The first, proper action sequence in this movie has them all swapping places between the Saber Station, a Kree battleship, and Kamala's house, which gets completely destroyed in the process, and it's honestly a ton of fun. The music, the fluid camera movement, the humor as we fly through this fast-paced sequence.
That's not so bad.
It truly all worked for me, and my sister and I were sitting in our empty theater together having a blast. We saw this on opening night, by the way. After that, I'm not gonna lie, the fun admittedly takes a bit of a nosedive as we dive into exposition and learn some admittedly heavy stuff through just flashbacks. That's one of my main complaints with the direction that the MCU is going right now with having these integrated Disney Plus shows. It's how much they're starting to rely on the Disney Plus shows to do the heavy lifting.
Did you finish your homework today?
What?
Well, and the fact that so many of their projects are now pretty mediocre. But even though I watched WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and Secret Invasion,
No.
which is totally ignored in this movie, by the way, so don't waste your time on that garbage, and was fully ready for this movie, for the people that didn't, the backstories of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, they're relegated to just quick flashbacks or throwaway lines of dialogue, even down to the movie literally having a device that allows people to access their memories and look at flashbacks.
That's convenient.
The fact that this is starting to replace true character development in these movies really just feels cheap, and admittedly is one of the things that brings this movie down a few points for me. That being said though, these scenes are made all the more bearable by the fangirling and emotional support that Kamala Khan brings to the team.
We're a team.
Oh, no, we're not a team.
We're not a team.
So, for the first act or so, outside of that rushed character development and a few cringeworthy lines,
Monica, you gotta fly.
No.
Black girl magic.
I was actually enjoying this film. Most of the humor was making me laugh or chuckle, the action was fun and actually kind of inventive with the power swapping, and I really enjoyed Nick Fury, who was back to his confident, badass self that was very missed in Secret Invasion, and I enjoyed the way that him and Kamala's family fit into the story. There's also one pretty well done scene, in my opinion, that shows Kamala the harsh realities of being a hero and how it's not just fun all the time. And even though they don't spend too much time on it, I really appreciate the fact that this scene was even in the movie. But then, the movie comes to a screeching halt for easily the cringiest scene in the movie, involving Captain Marvel being revealed as a f***ing Disney princess on a planet where their main language is song. This scene is so awkward, goes on for way too long, which is crazy to me because apparently test audiences hate it so much that they cut the shit out of that part, and was literally making me sink into my seat with how cringy it was. The only things that really made it bearable for me were Monica's hilariously realistic reactions to the craziness that was going on around her, and the fact that Brie Larson, as she proved in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, can sing.
Hello again, friend of a friend, I knew you were.
I also did enjoy Park Seo-joon's role in this movie, even if he might as well have been a cameo with his lack of screen time and development.
Why are you here?
But this leads into another fun scene, and in what is probably the funniest scene in the movie, involving a bunch of flicking kittens, as you probably saw in the trailer. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but between the writing and the music chosen for that scene, I was laughing my ass off. I also have to give props to whoever came up with the climactic action sequence. Even though the ending goes a little bit off the rails and foregoes the conclusion in favor of typical MCU sequel teasing, though that credit scene was pretty hype, I truly appreciate the fact that the climactic action scene is just a fight between the heroes and the villain, and doesn't involve a big sky beam or a big CGI army or some crap like that. And I honestly thought it was a pretty strong payoff for everything that the characters went through throughout the movie. This movie also does something that a lot of MCU projects have been scared to do recently, which is actually letting the emotional beats hit, land, and have time to sink in. It's funny and packed to the brim with jokes, don't get me wrong, but when an emotional or dramatic scene occurs, it's actually given the weight it deserves. It's not just undercut with a joke like we've seen time and time again, even in one of my favorite MCU movies of the last few years, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Well, what I'm trying to say...
Peter, you know this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful.
Before I wrap it up, to get back to the cast here, I thought Samuel L. Jackson was finally great again as Nick Fury, like I said earlier, and he actually has some of the best lines here. Kamala's parents are great, just like they were in her show, especially her mom, bringing in some of those emotional moments like I talked about. Brie Larson, like I said before, also has a night and day difference with her performance here and actually brings some charisma to the screen this time. She has great chemistry with Iman Vellani and Teyonah Parris, even though that apparently wasn't the case behind the scenes, and she actually seems like a real character that's having fun being in this movie. Teyonah Parris, though her character is usually relegated to exposition dumping, did a fine job here as well. And the real standout, once again, is Iman Vellani, but I won't get into that because I've talked about her enough. Zawe Ashton does what she can with Dar-Ben, and though her motivations are very understandable, you know exactly why she's doing what she's doing, she's ultimately little more than what Ronan was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro! Me and you!
Another flat MCU villain that mean mugs and yells through all of her scenes. She definitely was the weakest part of the film, along with that cringy musical scene. Overall though, I have to say I was shocked by how much I liked this movie. It's definitely not great, and has some huge problems in the pacing, editing, and writing departments, along with the villain and one cringeworthy scene that threatens to derail the entire project, anchored by 3 likable leads with great chemistry. But this is still a fun movie with a strong cast, surprisingly strong humor that's actual jokes and not just typical MCU quipping, and exciting, inventive action scenes that make great use of the character swapping mechanic. Oh, and it's also under 2 hours, which I was very happy about. I don't know if I can recommend that you rush out to go see it, but if you have a theater membership and want to catch a matinee, or just want to wait for it on Disney Plus, I don't think you'll be super disappointed. Don't listen to those typical rage bait YouTubers calling this the worst movie ever made. It's definitely not. It's also not some feminist war cry either. I'm not really sure where people are getting that. One of the things I love the most about this is that there is no political agenda here. The main 3 characters just happen to be women. There's no unnecessary man-hating like something like She-Hulk.
I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Because he has the eye of the tiger.
He does have the eye of the tiger.
Are you sure about that?
No annoying modern political things brought into the story like something like, I don't even remember that name of that movie. Eternals. It's just a fun, admittedly flawed story about these 3 heroes. And that's my review of The Marvels. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, like I said earlier, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my new content. While you're at it, you can scroll down in the description, check out the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of the movie, or rip me apart for liking this movie, as I'm sure so many people are going to do. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. They'll take you to my review of Five Nights at Freddy's, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time for the long-awaited prequel to The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.